start my day with love. That's what I get more of, is love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love.
I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace.
I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace.
I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I
Start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy.
I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy and feel that sweet release. I
Start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release.
Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa's weekly virtual service, an opportunity for us to come together to explore and to celebrate the spiritual teachings that give rise to our vision of a world that works for everyone. I'm Joyce DeFala, a minister at the center, and I join with our senior minister, Dr. Edward Filioun, in saying a special word of welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. You can find out all about us at our website, www.cslsr.org, and you'll find information there about our groups and our classes and our spiritual practices that we offer to you available online. I'm also pleased to be saying a word of welcome to today's guest speaker, Reverend Russ Laguerre, who comes to us from the Cityside Spiritual Community in Chicago, Illinois. Holding a master's in consciousness studies from the Holmes Institute, Reverend Russ describes his ministry, and I quote, as centering around taking people deeper and helping them move past the ego's trappings and all the funky stuff that comes with it. Raise your hand if you are up for that. In addition to ministry, Reverend Russ also works for the Chicago Public Schools, solving major technological problems and applying science of mind principles every day to break through barriers that prevent students and teachers from connecting through technology. In his ministry, Reverend Russ is passionate about spiritual care, and finding ways to allow people to connect, not only with each other, but with themselves and with God. Before Reverend Russ's message, we have the opportunity to sit together, to center ourselves with music and with prayer. Know with me that somewhere between the music and the prayer and Reverend Russ's message, there is that which nourishes our spiritual journey individually and collectively. Welcome.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe deeper in, breathe out. I know you're here with me, so I breathe. I am part of one, and one is everything, and everything is all there is, and all there is God. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe deeper in, breathe out. I know you're here with me, so I breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Please join me in prayer. There is only one power, one love, one mind, one all in all, timeless, formless, beyond our wildest imaginings, and yet intimate, right here, right now, in this moment. There is no place where spirit does not reside. No exceptions. God is everywhere present. As I recognize this truth that spirit is within me, expressing in, through, and as me, I recognize it is also true for everyone who is experiencing this service. Spirit in form, expressing in unique and perfect ways. I speak my word for this service. I know it unfolds with grace and ease, that all who are present are receiving exactly what it is they need for the next step on that personal spiritual journey. Whether it's the music, the message, the prayers, or simply being present, that gift is received and blesses everyone here. In gratitude for that knowing, In certainty of this truth, I celebrate it and release it into the law, where it is already so. And together we say, and so it is. Hello, I'm Tara Steele, a minister here at the Center. Here is today's affirmation from our Beyond 2020 Spiritual Vision Book of Affirmations. I trust that I am informed and guided amidst life's boundless possibilities and choices. And so it is.
When the anger has died and the shame disappears, with the echoes of lies spoken over the years and accepted no more, we let go of the fear. There's nothing left but forgiveness after heartache and sorrow and love that has died, and the most bitter feelings we keep deep inside fade to nothing as lessons of life realized. There's nothing left but forgiveness. When the reasons have vanished and their power is gone, and the places they took us have led us back home, and the hatred forgotten has left us alone, there's nothing left but forgiveness. Only so far we'll go till this knot is untied, and the anger and heartache no longer denied, till we stand in the silence and then realize there's nothing left but forgiveness. Forgiveness, forgiveness. We need forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Well, hello there, CSL Santa Rosa. My name is Reverend Russ Laguerre, and I'm so grateful to get to be with you virtually today as we end our month on the self-givingness of the divine. And I'm really grateful that Dr. Edward invited me to speak with you today on the topic of forgiveness. The last 3 weekends, Dr. Edward talked about these superpowers that we have that bring us into the flow of the self-givingness of the divine. He talked about giving, he talked about receiving, he talked about asking. And the 4th superpower, and I truly believe that this is a superpower, is forgiveness. And I love forgiveness. I love, love, love forgiveness. I love it so much that I truly believe that if we were never to practice any other spiritual practice, if we never prayed, if we never meditated, if we never went to spiritual classes and workshops, if we could just master forgiveness, we would already be done, because we would already be in the divine flow of allowing this divine presence, this divine unity to flow through us. But I wasn't always the way that I am now. It took a long way to get there. And I want to kind of give you a little bit of my background, since this might be the first time that you're meeting. So hello. I was a very angry kid growing up. I was a very angry person growing up, if I'm being perfectly honest. And when I was very young, my parents divorced when I was about like 3 or 4 years old. And when you're a kid that age, you don't really know what to make of that. And you start to build all of these stories. And I certainly was building a lot of those stories inside of me, that I'm unlovable, that the world never works the way that I want it to, yada, yada, yada. All of these things came together and formed this sort of barrier of anger within myself. This anger just sort of became my mantra. It became who I was, at least on the surface. And it stuck with me until probably I would want to say I found, a really amazing therapist when I hit my 30s. And it really changed my life, and not in a good way. It created barriers around every aspect of my life. My relationships were broken. My relationship with myself was broken. My relationship with the divine was pretty much non-existent. And so I tell you that story because I want us to focus a little bit on anger right now. By the time that you're hearing this talk, we're not that too far away from probably one of the most, angry and contentious elections in the United States that we have ever had. There's so much anger that I am seeing in the world, and it really makes me sad, because I know just how damaging this anger can be in our lives. And so let's start with, what is anger? Let's really try and understand this, because I believe if we can shine the light of truth upon these problems that we see in the world, their solutions become very, very clear to us. So what is anger? Why do we feel it? Does it actually do anything for us? And looking at it biologically, it's a natural physical response that we have to, a perceived threat in the world. And certainly way back tens of thousands of years ago, before we had evolved to where we are now, to where our consciousness has evolved to where we are now, that's a very natural response. If a tiger is going to come and eat you, it is natural to be angry at that tiger, because that anger motivates you to survive. And that's what anger actually does. It motivates us to take some sort of action. Now, the problem, though, that nobody teaches us about, unfortunately, when we're kids, maybe there are some people who do that, and I think those are some truly stellar parents, but I think most of us, we don't get a manual when we're growing up. Our parents don't get a manual for us when we're growing up. So, we do the best that we can, and unfortunately, we don't figure out how we should be in relationship with that anger that we might feel in a situation. And so we allow it to become unhealthy. And it becomes unhealthy when we're ignoring it, when we're not actually feeling the feeling, and when we're not taking the time to understand it. Because oftentimes the anger that we feel in any situation really has nothing to do with that actual situation. It actually probably is pushing our buttons, or like triggering some old trauma or some old situation that we felt really angry then, and this is similar, so now we're going to feel the same way now. But that's a big problem, because that means that we are reacting to the circumstances around us, and it takes away our choice. It means that we sometimes act out in autopilot. We say things that we don't mean to say after we say them. We do things that we never meant to do, because we're letting that anger drive the bus instead of us, our higher self, that self with a capital S, that knows that it's unified with the divine, that knows that it is whole, perfect, and complete. We've got to let that self drive. And the world needs us to do that. You know, you look at our country now, I look at our country now, and I wonder what our country would be like if we were not quite as angry as we are right now. If we were willing to listen to one another now. If we were curious about one another. I wonder. Take a moment and wonder, what would our world be like with just a little bit less anger in the world? I think it would be pretty amazing. And so, before I move on here, I want to really get into the nitty-gritty of why anger is super, super dangerous. And I'm going to talk about some like headspace things, some intellectual reasons right now. And the biggest intellectual reason, before we get to some heart space reasons why we've got to move past anger, is anger quite literally makes us dumber people. What happens when we are in a stress response and we feel anger is our body releases a hormone called cortisol throughout our entire body, gets all the way up into our brain. And what happens is that cortisol takes us out of our prefrontal cortex, which is that front brain that allows us to have rational, reasoned ways of approaching situations, and it moves us into our emotional system, into our limbic system. And sometimes it actually moves us all the way to our what's called our amygdala, and that's our fight or flight response. And oh boy, there's a lot of fight or flight response going on right now. And this is a huge, huge problem, because how can we speak rationally? How can we work through our problems if we don't even have the active parts of our brains that are the best at working through those problems? We can't. And we see this in the United States. We see people talking past each other because they're still in their anger. They cannot have a reasoned, rational discussion. Now, it's even worse because, oh boy, there's so many reasons here why I'm saying that we've got to move past this stuff. Cortisol actually decreases the neurotransmitter serotonin in our brains. And that's the neurotransmitter that is responsible for us being able to feel happy. So it becomes this vicious cycle. We get angry and we don't deal with it, and then we get rid of our serotonin. Now we're more likely to become angry, more likely to become aggressive, and on and on and on. And it leads to depression. It leads to all of these really bad outcomes. And that's all because we don't take the time to work through it, and to work through it with the practice of forgiveness. Now, moving from all of these really great psychological and neurological reasons why anger is something that we need to be careful about, let's move into the heart space and the spiritual side of that. Anger, at the end of the day, is separation. It is a wall and a barrier that we put between us and whatever the situation is that triggered us. That's it. It's a defense mechanism. It's trying to keep us safe. But I would invite you to consider, if this divine consciousness, this thing that I choose to call God, you might call it the universe, you might call it life, you might call it love, whatever you choose to call it, if this divine presence for good is truly all that there is, and we are angry at someone or something or some situation in the world, then I got some bad news for you. We are angry at God. Let that sink in for a minute. Because it took me a very long time personally to realize that I wasn't angry at all of these things outside of me. No, I was angry that God did not create a world that I thought I should have. And I have to breathe into that a little bit because, oh boy, does that bring up some memories. But it was such a deep realization for me to realize that I was really angry at the universe. I was angry at this self-givingness that only wanted for my good. I was angry that all of the circumstances around me created a life that didn't feel like the divine. And when I realized that I was angry at this thing that only wanted for my good, I had to ask myself, like, well, what am I getting out of this? Why am I so angry at something that I know at the core of my soul only wants for my good? And I came to the realization that my anger that I was feeling had absolutely nothing to do with anything outside of me. Nothing at all. Those conditions, like my upbringing, all of the things that I experienced when I was growing up, they may have been the trigger of that anger, but in reality, the anger's all mine. Nobody can give you anger. Nobody could give me anger. It's something that I created myself by not addressing, by not getting into relationship with. And that realization led to another realization, and my anger was coming up because I felt like I was not in control. And the anger was a way for me to feel like I was back in control, that I was back in a safe place, which is kind of messed up if you think about it, right? And so the third question that I had to ask myself, and I'm inviting you to ask this question of yourselves, is my anger working for me? And it was a really honest question, and it took me a while to get to an honest answer. And the honest answer for me at the time, and sometimes it still comes up too, is yes, my anger works for me. It doesn't work in a way that is spiritually affirming. It doesn't work in a way that realizes my, inextricable connection to all others and to this divine, brilliant cosmos that we live in. But it was working in the sense that it helped my ego to feel safe. It helped my ego to feel safe because I could keep the perceived threat away from me, but it also helped my ego to feel safe because it became normal. And that's the big thing that I really think that we have to move through in our society here in the United States and beyond. At what point did anger become the norm for us? That's a really good question. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know when it became the norm, but I do know that it's harder now, I think, to move past our anger about whatever is going on in the world because it has become so normal for us. They call it like Stockholm syndrome, for example, where you become, enamored with your kidnappers. That's kind of what we've done. Like anger is our kidnapper and we've become enamored with it. And you see this play out in the United States in our penal system, right? We have the highest incarceration rate per capita in the entire world. How messed up is that? We have the entire world beat as far as people that we put into prison. Prisons have actually become a private industry in our country. It's something that has become profitable, and I think back to myself like, why is that? Why have we become this? And I feel it's because we haven't worked through our anger. We haven't used these spiritual tools that I'm about to get into to really take a hard look at what is it that we want to accomplish in our criminal justice system. It seems like what we want to accomplish is punishment, which when you get back to it, punishment is kind of fueled by anger. We want to have revenge upon those that we feel have wronged us. Ooh, we gotta get revenge. I mean, you look at action movies. How many action movies are all about revenge? I'm gonna get revenge on those people who have wronged me. You don't see action movies about like, I'm going to shower unconditional love upon those who have wronged me. Those don't sell very well in our country, which is an interesting observation. When you look at our penal system, it is really rooted in this anger, this seeming anger that we haven't worked through. And I contrast that with the Norwegian penal system. And oh man, when I first read about the Norwegian penal system, it just lit up my heart because it's so beautiful. And not only does Norway have one of the lowest crime rates in the world because since they've implemented this system, but it's so easy to see how their penal system is rooted in the knowledge of our wholeness, the knowledge of our unity. Their penal system is designed from beginning to end to reform and to bring back into society those that they consider to be criminal who have broken laws. And their recidivism rate, which is the rate that criminals come out of their incarceration and then they go back to commit another crime, their recidivism rate is one of the lowest in the entire world. And you look at the United States and ours is just like, it's one of those other things that we're way on top of that really I feel we shouldn't be. And the reason that their penal system works so well is that they see the wholeness. They see the wholeness of those who have wronged them. They build their system around restorative justice, with justice being a restoration of equality. They see it as they want it to be a win-win. They don't want it to be like, society wins and then the prisoner loses. No, they say that as long as that prisoner is a prisoner, then society has also lost. They have this system that is built around the idea of forgiveness, the idea that we are all one, we are all inextricably connected. And it's so beautiful to see. And we see the results in their society. It works better than anyone else's does. It takes a lot of faith, certainly. I know, especially for us in the United States, people would probably be like, oh, no, I don't want those criminals coming back on the street. But when we can see the wholeness of each other, when we can let go of our anger, our resentment, and our fear, beautiful things happen. And so that leads me to the actual practice. And Dr. Edward beautifully opened us up to this practice last week with his talk about asking. And I love the practice of asking because forgiveness, and this is something that I learned from Reverend Mark Anthony Lord, and I think he's absolutely right. He's brilliant in saying this. Forgiveness is not something that we do. Forgiveness is something that we ask for. And I'm not saying that we're asking forgiveness from somebody like a person who's across from us. I'm saying that we are asking the divine to bring us into the energy, the consciousness of forgiveness. We are asking the divine to bring us into a state of forgiveness so that we walk through life knowing the unity and the truth and the brilliance of one another. We can't do it ourselves. We have to ask the divine. And one of the main reasons that we have to do that is, and I truly believe, we get into these mucky situations where, we're kind of like living in funky land. We're doing weird things. We don't know why we're doing them because we are trying to maintain control. And what I love about the practice of asking and doing it as a forgiveness practice is by asking the divine to set us free from our resentments, from our anger, from our fears, we are actually affirming to the universe that we are in a state of surrender. And as metaphysicians, we know that the consciousness that we walk through the world with is reflected back to us. So if we're trying to control and control and control, what we're going to get back is more control and control and control. And it feels really tight. But when we can let go, and when we can ask the divine to help us to let go and trust fully that the divine absolutely says yes to our letting go, that puts us into a state of surrender. And we get reflected back to us an opening. And what's reflected back to us is an opening of our heart. And that opening of our heart allows us to connect better to those around us, even those with whom we vehemently disagree. And I'm not saying that you have to set aside your disagreements here, but what I am saying is that in the practice of forgiveness, we have a choice. We can choose to be right and try and maintain control. That's really when we choose to be right, when we believe so desperately that we are right in whatever the argument or situation is. We're really trying to hang on to control. We're trying to hang on to our beliefs. We're trying to hang on to all those things that our ego holds dear, but we're ignoring our heart. Our heart, in reality, is free. So we get to choose between being right, or we get to choose to be free. And I think the world needs us to choose to be free more, don't you? And so we do this by asking. We ask the divine in whatever way feels best for us, whatever word you use to identify with the divine, please set me free. Take some time to feel into that situation. What are the feelings that came up in that situation? And then ask to be free. Ask to be free of resentment and anger and fear. There are a lot of different forgiveness practices, but at its core, what we need to do is get into that feeling of surrender and letting go and trusting that if God truly is good, then only good can happen and occur in our life, in our existence. And so we'll take just a minute here as I close up for us to go into this practice. And I'll invite you, if it feels comfortable, maybe shift around in your body, get back into your body. And let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. And allow an image of whatever reminds you of this divine presence to form in your mind. And then allow an image of the person or the situation where you want to bring in this feeling of forgiveness to form in your mind. And simply ask your divine, will you please set me free from my anger, from my resentment, from my fear? And just feel it. Imagine that your heart is asking this question. And let it flow through you. Let it have its way with you. Listen to your body and the feelings that come up, and trust that the divine always, 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 always says yes. And know that whatever you had been feeling, any anger, resentment, fear, know that it just simply washes away with that unconditional love from this divine presence. And when you feel ready, go ahead and open your eyes again. And this is a practice that you can do every day. And I do this practice because it really brings me back to, I think, Rumi's most famous quote, and that is when he said, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." We have to move beyond our ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, because in that we find this divine presence. We find each other, our true selves. And so let's close out with some prayer to affirm that. And I just take this moment to center myself in this divine presence, knowing that it is truly all that there is, and knowing that it is unconditional love. And I know that I am one with this, just as each and every beautiful soul at CSL Santa Rosa is with this. Dr. Edward is one with this. All of the staff at CSL Santa Rosa are one with this. And truly everybody in the world is one with this divine presence. We are one with the one. We are one with unconditional love. And I just claim and affirm for us here and now a deep and profound opening of our hearts. An opening of our hearts to this feeling, this energy, this atmosphere of divine forgiveness, knowing that in it we are able to just let go of our angers, our resentments, our fears, knowing that in this divine presence we are safe. In this divine presence we are cared for. In this divine presence we are truly one, and we want for nothing. I know that we are truly in the flow of the self-givingness of the divine, and that is so, 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 so good. And I just express my gratitude for this, my gratitude for the fulfillment of this prayer, my gratitude for all of this divine release that we get to play with. I am grateful, and I release this word into the action of the law that has already said, "Yes, my beloved, yes." And together we say, "And so it is." So thank you so much for having me, CSL Santa Rosa. I will see you soon, and have an amazing next few weeks.
Thank you, Reverend Russ Laguerre. You know, if we were sitting in the sanctuary together, this would be the point in the service where the offering baskets would come around, and as each of us put in our contributions, we would have the physical and visual experience of noticing how each contribution comes together to create a glorious whole spiritual community and the environment that contains it. Well, it's still true, even though we're virtual, each individual contribution does indeed allow for these services, for the guest speakers, the guest musicians, for our staff to keep working on our behalf, and for that wonderful facility on Occidental Road to be maintained and kept in ready awaiting for our return. So know that if you're able to contribute today, whether on Facebook with the donate button at the top of the page, or going to our website where there's a donation portal, or sending a physical check to us at the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa, 2075 Occidental Road, Santa Rosa, California, 95401. Or if you're in a position these days, the very understandable position of not being able to contribute it financially, but contributing to us with your thoughts and your prayers. However you are able to contribute to the center today, let's do what we often do in the sanctuary, putting our hands on our heart and saying something like, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and prosper. It does good work in the world and blesses all beings. Thank you.
Forgiveness sets me free. Forgiveness starts with me. Wherever I go, whatever I know, forgiveness sets me free. I forgive someone right now. I may not know just how to begin to let go, so I let love show me I forgive someone right now. Let's forgive the world today. As we forgive the world, we say it opens our hearts, it works from the start. Let's forgive the world today. Forgiveness is the love that I send. Forgiveness leaves me nothing to defend. Forgiveness always gets me to the end of what I thought I knew to be true. What brings me pain may not be true, and it may not be you. I forgive myself inside. I know that love will guide me, for no matter the sin, there's a place to begin. I forgive myself within. So that love in right now.
Good morning. I'm Jeff Basham, a practitioner here at the center and a member of your after-service prayer hosting team. I'll tell you more about after-service prayer in just a moment, but right now I want to tell you about some upcoming events here at the center. Our annual Remembrance Service will be broadcast online this year at 7 p.m. this Wednesday, October 28th. We will remember loved ones who have passed on since November 2019. Reverend Scioto Bell, members of our Grief and Loss Support Ministry, and Christopher Fritchie will host the service. The following Wednesday evening, November 4th, there's another special service. Spiritual community is a place where we are seen and heard, just the way we are. It's a place to be reminded that our lives consist of more than just our day-to-day experiences. Join with others in a time of stillness, prayer, reflection, and connections. Details on these two events and more are found on our website at www.cslsr.org. Under Services, you'll find the Sunday Bulletin filled with details and links. Small groups continue to meet online. You can find out more in the online bulletin. And here are two examples. At tonight's Sunday evening conversation, practitioner Elias Owen's topic is letting it go, letting it be. People will gather tonight at 7 p.m. And for more than 30 years, community members have come together in a beautiful world peace meditation. It takes place on the last day of the month, this Saturday, October 31st at 7 p.m. And did you know that there is free confidential prayer right after our service? Now you do. To receive prayer, leave at the end of this broadcast and go to our website to the special link that says After Service Prayer. The prayer practitioners are there right now waiting for you, and they look forward to praying with you and supporting you in knowing your highest and best good.
Hello, I'm David Gooden, and I'm a hunger relief worker here at the Redwood Empire Food Bank, and I am visiting the Center for Spiritual Living on Sunday morning. And I just want to say thank you very much for your interest in the work that we're doing and the support that you are providing. I just want to give you a quick update on the things that are going on at the Redwood Empire Food Bank. I think first and foremost, this whole COVID-19 experience has really moved us from what we have historically called second responder to first responder. In fact, we're the only ones on stage right now helping people out in these very difficult times. It's not really a police action or a healthcare action in terms of paramedics or fire. Instead, it's hunger relief, and people are out of work, and they are sheltered in place, and they are hurting. And we are here to help, and it's been gratifying to do so. Under the best of times, we offer about 10,300 emergency food boxes in addition to everything else we do. But with COVID-19, that ramped up to approximately 25,000 boxes a month, which is pretty staggering. One of the big forces at play that we're experiencing are drive-through distributions because of the safe distancing requirement. The regularity of volunteers at the Redwood Empire Food Bank has been quite challenging, and so we've had to find remote space in order to do that. And then if we layer all of that with the public safety power shutdown that just recently occurred, the first of the year, as well as the fires, we've been quite busy. And we're just grateful to be able to do so. And when there are organizations like the Center for Spiritual Living that support us and join us as what we call charge the castle, it makes everything we want to do possible. And all we really want to do is help. We just want to improve the world. So on behalf of the Redwood Empire Food Bank and the Board of Directors and the staff, But most importantly, the people that we help, which is about 82,000 people throughout the year. I just want to say thank you very much, and have a lovely service and a lovely Sunday. Once again, I'm David Goodman with the Redwood Empire Food Bank. Be well.
Please say these words with me. And if you do not know these words or not familiar with them, you will be if you hang around long enough with us. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind, life is in my body, and life is in my affairs. I think it, I feel it, and I accept it. Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life. Know with me that you are never alone, that Spirit is right where you are, that you have only to look within at any moment to know that you are guided, sustained, and uplifted by a presence that expresses its good through you in this world. In deepest gratitude, let us live our lives accordingly, so that in everything that we do and say and think, we honor this presence within. And so it is. Thank you so much for being with us this week. There are messages from our community that you will see scrolled on the screen at the end of this service. And goodbye.
1, 2, 1, 2. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life.